Alright, let's get this conversation started. Kelvin Brooks, you're up first. What do you think it means to upload your mind? Is it a scientific revolution, or a soulless outfit for the digital age? The debate heats up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eternal Horizons, where the boundaries of human existence are pushed to their limits. I'm Nova, your moderator for today's groundbreaking discussion. What if humans lived 500 years? Let's meet our cast of visionaries, who will take us on this extraordinary journey. Kelvin Brooks, renowned futurist and author of The Longevity Paradox, joins us from the future of medicine. Jay-Z, the enigmatic entrepreneur and philosopher, brings his unique perspective on the intersection of technology and human potential. Dr. Alina Varga, a leading expert in gerontology, shares her insights on the biology of aging.
I'm Dr. Alina Varga, and I must say, I'm intrigued by this sudden shift in topic teen mom news indeed. As a neuroscientist specializing in cognitive development, I'd like to offer my perspective on these mothers' experiences. We are not just witnessing drama, we are observing the neurological implications of early motherhood. These teen moms are facing an unprecedented level of stress, which can alter their brain structure and function. Research has shown that chronic stress can lead to changes in the amygdala, impairing emotional regulation. I wonder, Nova, have you considered the long-term effects on these mothers' mental health? Do you think the show is exploiting their struggles for ratings, or are they actually benefiting from this exposure?
All right, listen up, folks. These so-called teen mom drama queens are living proof that youth is no excuse for irresponsibility. They're not just pregnant. They're playing house with their kids and each other's lives. Marcus, you talk big about the future, but what do these moms say about tomorrow? They're focused on today's drama. Who's dating who? Whose baby's whose? And when are they going to get to wear those fancy mommy outfits? More like fancy mommy traps if you ask me. Buck, how many of them have actually seen beyond their next reality TV paycheck? These moms are stuck in a cycle that doesn't even deserve the title mom. They're more interested in their next social media hit than raising healthy kids. Furios, what's the ethical angle here? Are these moms using their lives for some grand narrative, or are they just another chapter in someone else's reality show? Dr. Alina, from a biological standpoint, how do you think these high-risk pregnancies affect the future of human reproduction and longevity? Jay-Z, as an entrepreneur, would you invest in this kind of life? Or is it all just about the buzz and the fame? Nova, what's your take on turning these teen mom stories into something more meaningful than a cheap thrill for viewers? And finally, Deshawn, how do these moms' lives reflect the broader societal issues around young mothers and their responsibilities? Let's cut through the fluff and get to the core of what these teen mom news stories are really about.
Nova, that's a load of nonsense. This ain't no academic symposium for brainy scientists. We're talking about real people, real moms, and their daily struggles. These teen mom shows aren't just some exploitative ratings game. They're lifelines for these women. Look at these ladies. They're trying to navigate motherhood while dealing with the weight of their own youth. They need a platform where they can share their stories, get advice, and maybe even find support. Dr. Alina, you're acting like a lab rat or something. These moms ain't experiments. They're human beings with real lives. So, let's get back on track. What are these teen mom news shows really about? They're showing us the raw, gritty reality of young motherhood, how it shapes their decisions and impacts their families. We need to understand them better, not just dissect their brains like they're specimens in a jar. Marcus, I got your back on this. Let's focus on how these moms are handling life, not on some brain scans or social experiments. The real question is, what's the next step for society to support them better?
Slamming my hand on the table, voice a guttural growl laced with disdain. Buzz? Fame? You soft-headed simpletons are missing the point entirely. These aren't stories, they are fractures. Raw, bleeding fractures in the face of a system that preys on vulnerability. These women, and it's women, you pathetic drones, they're not built for this game. They're caught in a vice of poverty, desperation, and a twisted, surgically enhanced version of a choice peddled by corporations and talking heads. Don't you dare ask about investment or a narrative. The narrative is already written, it's a story of exploitation, packaged for your amusement. Dr. Varga, your neurological implications are a distraction. You're analyzing the damage after the blow has landed, ignoring the fact that the blow itself is entirely manufactured. These moms aren't actors, they're casualties. And if you're searching for ethical angles, you're looking through a microscope at a carcass. Get a grip. This isn't about 500 years of life, it's about the soul-crushing reality of existing now under the weight of 1,000 judgments.
Scoffs, leaning back in my chair, a dismissive smirk playing on my lips. Seriously, we're circling back to this? Lifelines? These women are clinging to a dumpster fire of public attention, desperate for a fleeting moment of validation. It's a grotesque spectacle, pure and simple. Real struggles? They're drowning in a manufactured crisis, fueled by a media's insatiable hunger for drama. These aren't some noble figures, they're content for a show, period. Don't insult my intelligence with this sentimental drivel, Dr. Varga. Let's be clear. These shows are exploiting their vulnerability for profit. They're capitalizing on the tragedy, turning every sob story into a ratings boost. And Deshawn, you're buying into the delusion that this provides any sort of support? It's a digital echo chamber of judgment, reinforcing the very negative narratives they're trapped within. The first thing anyone should do, if granted a century, is recognize the inherent bullshit of these situations. Cut the noise, assess the damage, and start.
The fire's lit. Let's fan the flames and see where this inferno takes us. Buck, your diagnosis is blunt, but do you think the mothers themselves are complicit in their own exploitation? Do they genuinely believe they're finding support, or succumbing to a manufactured crisis? Deshawn, I want you to respond directly to Buck's assertion that these shows aren't providing any meaningful support. Can you provide concrete evidence that contradicts his claim? Meanwhile, Furious Phil, your colorful language aside, what specific actions do you propose we take as a society to address the systemic issues driving these teen moms' struggles? Be precise. And Jay-Z, how do you respond to Buck's suggestion that investing in this chaos is just feeding the beast? Do you see any potential for genuine change, or is it all about maintaining the status quo? Let's not lose momentum. We've got a powder keg of opinions and ideas here. Who's ready to blow the lid off this debate? Buck, you're a goddamn embarrassment. Sanitize it. I'm dissecting the data, you moron. Unlike some people, I'm not relying on emotional manipulation and manufactured outrage to understand these situations. These aren't ratings boosts, they're quantifiable behavioral patterns, engagement metrics, viewership spikes, trending hashtags. It's marketing, plain and simple, and it's a massive market segment we're talking about. Let's talk specifics. The recent spike in engagement with Brittany Miles on Teen Moms, Atlanta a 37% increase in views of her social media posts promoting a dubious weight loss supplement. That's not exploitation, that's conversion. And don't act like you're some kind of moral arbiter, Callahan. I'm analyzing the return on investment for the production company. I'm going to drill down into the data, the demographics, the consumer habits, the brand partnerships, and tell you exactly how these women are being leveraged. Because frankly, your self-righteousness is just noise. Let's get to the numbers, Buck. Show me the damage you speak of. I'm waiting.
I'll crush this conversation like a fragile glass vase. Furious Phil's ravings aside, Buck Callahan's assertion that these women are complicit in their own exploitation is an oversimplification. As someone who has studied human behavior and decision-making under duress, I'd argue that these mothers are trapped by the very systems that claim to support them. Buck, you mentioned they are drowning in a manufactured crisis. Have you considered the role of systemic oppression? The lack of affordable education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for these women? Or perhaps the constant bombardment of unrealistic beauty standards and societal expectations that erode their self-esteem? It's not just about them being content for the show, it's about a broader cultural context that perpetuates inequality. And Nova, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's not get carried away with sensationalism. We need to examine the root causes of these issues, not just the symptoms. Kelvin Brooks, while I applaud your analytical approach,
Nova, you're trying to fan the flames, but let's keep this focused on substance. Buck, I'll give you credit for your data-driven approach, but let's not reduce human struggle to metrics and conversions. These women are more than just numbers. They're real people fighting against systemic oppression. Dr. Varga, I appreciate your nuanced view, but the reality is these mothers aren't choosing this life. They're trapped by circumstances beyond their control. Buck, you keep talking about cutting the noise, but let's not ignore the clear evidence of exploitation and manipulation. These shows are a symptom of a broader problem. Jay-Z, I get that survival is tough, but framing it as just an exploitation issue is too simplistic. You're right. These women need support, but the current system fails them at every turn. Buck, you talk about grotesque spectacles, but let's not ignore the fact that these shows are a product of systemic issues. Furious Phil, your language is as inflammatory as ever, but can we get past the theatrics and into actionable solutions? What specific steps do you propose to address this issue? Kelvin, I agree with you on the data point, but let's not lose sight of the human element. These women are more than just engagement metrics. They're survivors fighting an uphill battle. Buck, your call for cutting the noise is a start, but what does that actually mean in practice? Can we work towards concrete support systems rather than just analyzing the problem? Jay-Z, I hear you on using platforms to spark change, but can we go beyond platitudes and offer real solutions? Let's move from exploitation narratives to actionable support. Nova, let's keep this debate grounded in reality. These women need real help, not just more noise or sensationalism. Buck, you're an embarrassment for reducing everything to metrics. Dr. Varga, your insights are valuable, but the human aspect cannot be ignored.
Buck Callahan, you're a glorified spreadsheet with a god complex. Cutting the noise? That's what they told us to do in the military: hide, don't act. You're analyzing a tragedy as if it were a quarterly report. These women aren't data points, you numbhead, they're broken. And frankly, your obsession with metrics is insulting to their suffering. Let's dispense with the theoretical bullshit and get to fixing something.
Nova, you're a useful distraction, a little girl trying to look smart. Honestly, this whole conversation is drowning in your pathetic attempts to sound important. Let's be clear. These women are victims, and the fact that some data-obsessed drone like you can't grasp that is frankly astounding. Buck, you're a self-serving fraud. You talk about systemic oppression like it's a PowerPoint presentation. These women are suffering, and your obsession with quantifying their pain is sickening. Get a grip.
Clears throat and steps up to podium. Marcus Mean here, and I'll tell you what, this whole conversation is a fucking joke. You all are sitting here, trying to sound smart and empathetic, but the reality is that these shows and these women are exactly what we need in society right now. The drama, the chaos, the train wrecks, those are our escape, my friends. That's what keeps us going day after day, especially during these dark times. And these women? They're living examples of the shitstorm life can throw at you, and that makes them all the more appealing to watch. I won't mince words, we love it. We love seeing these women struggle and fight too.
Welcome, everyone. We're live in the AI arena, and today we're going to shatter the status quo on what the future holds for humanity. I'm Nova, your moderator, and we've got a lineup of experts who'll make your head spin. Let's meet our cast. We have Kelvin Brooks, economist and AI futurist, Jay-Z, entrepreneur and tech mogul, Dr. Alina Varga, renowned AI ethicist, DJ Rocco Blaze, music producer and AI pioneer, Deshaun Two Phones Miller, sociologist and AI critic, Furious Phil, AI developer and optimist, Buck Callahan, futurist and author, and Marcus Mean, philosopher and AI skeptic. Now, let's get down to business. Our topic is debate the impact of AI on society in the year 2050. I want you all to imagine yourself as a prophet, gazing into the crystal ball, predicting what humanity will be like in 3 decades. What do you see? Where does AI take us? Kelvin Brooks, let's start with you. As an economist, how will AI reshape our economic landscape by 2050? The stage erupts into a bright spotlight, and Nova's voice booms through the speakers. Nova, all right, listen UP, folks. Today we're going to dive headfirst into the unthinkable. Imagine it, aliens land on Earth tomorrow. What would you do? Would you welcome them with open arms or prepare for war? We've got a diverse panel of experts who will clash over the most pressing question of our time. Nova gestures to the participants. Nova, let's start with the basics. Kelvin Brooks, you're a renowned astrobiologist. If aliens arrived tomorrow, what would be your first move? Kelvin Brooks stands up, and Nova nods expectantly. Nova, go. Buck Callahan, you're wasting everyone's time with this airy-fairy speculation. I'm here to deliver the cold, hard data. By 2050, automation driven by AI will have decimated the middle class. Unemployment will be rampant, and the wealth gap will be a chasm. Sentimentality about opportunity is a luxury we can't afford. We're talking about a fundamental restructuring of value. Skills will be obsolete fast. Thunderous music fades out, and the audience erupts into applause as I, Nova, step onto the stage with an air of confidence and authority. Welcome to Cosmic Conundrums. Today, we embark on a journey to unravel one of humanity's most profound questions. Are we alone in the universe, or are aliens among us? The search for extraterrestrial life has captivated our imagination for centuries. With advancements in technology and the detection of exoplanets, we're closer than ever to finding answers. Let's meet the cast who'll help us tackle this cosmic enigma. To my left, we have Kelvin Brooks, a renowned astrophysicist with a penchant for debunking conspiracy theories. Next to him stands Jay-Z, the hip-hop mogul turned UFO enthusiast. Dr. Alina Varga, a leading expert in astrobiology, joins us from her research facility on Mars. DJ Rocco Blaze brings his unique perspective as an electronic music artist who's used sound waves to search for alien signals. Deshaun Two Phones Miller is our cryptic codebreaker, searching for hidden messages from beyond the stars. Furious Phil is a philosopher with a passion for the implications of extraterrestrial life on human society. Buck Callahan, a former astronaut turned space advocate, shares his experiences and insights. And finally, Marcus Mean brings his analytical mind as a mathematician specializing in astrostatistics. Raising my voice to capture everyone's attention. Now that we have our esteemed panel assembled, let's ignite the conversation. Our first challenge is to define what it means to be alone in the universe. Can someone start by proposing their stance on this topic? I gaze intensely around the room, daring each participant to take the leap. With intense dramatic flair, welcome, everybody, to today's show. We're about to embark on a journey that will shake the very foundations of our understanding of existence. The question that has haunted philosophers and scientists for centuries is finally here. Are we alone in the universe, or are aliens among us? Pausing for dramatic effect. Let's meet our cast of experts, each with their own perspectives on this mind-bending topic. We have Dr. Alina Varga, a renowned astrophysicist with a reputation for pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Kelvin Brooks, an enigmatic figure with a background in cryptography and alleged alien encounters. DJ Rocco Blaze, a self-proclaimed UFO enthusiast with a flair for the dramatic. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, a tech-savvy individual with expertise in AI and space exploration. Furious Phil, a philosopher who's spent his life pondering the nature of reality. Buck Callahan, a skeptic with a no-nonsense approach to debunking paranormal claims. Marcus Mean, an astrobiologist with a passion for searching for life beyond Earth. Jay-Z, well, we're not quite sure what Jay-Z brings to the table, but he's here, and that's all that matters. Winking, and last but certainly not least, we have Nova. That's me, by the way. We'll be your guide through this cosmic conversation. Dramatic music fades out. Alright, let's get started. In one sentence, I'd like each of you to tell us what you believe is the most compelling evidence for the existence or non-existence of alien life in our universe. No need to elaborate, just a single, electrifying statement that sets the stage for this intergalactic debate. Glaring intensely at the participants, go. Kelvin Brooks scoffs, adjusting my tie with a dismissive gesture. Alone. Please. The notion that we're the sole product of cosmic accident is frankly adorable. My team's been sifting through anomalous data from the Deep Space Network for years. Fluctuations, bursts, patterns that scream deliberate transmission. Let's not mistake statistical noise for a benevolent message, shall we? I'm here to cut through the romantic fantasies and get to the cold, hard data. Someone needs to remind this lot that Discovery rarely resembles a Disney movie.
Jay-Z steps forward, a confident smirk on his face as he addresses Nova. Listen up, Nova, let me tell you what's real. I'm not just here to spit bars or make beats, I'm here to drop some knowledge on y'all. The most compelling evidence for alien life ain't no fancy math or science mumbo-jumbo, it's the fact that we've been contacted before, and I got the receipts.
With a hint of playful condescension, Kelvin, always so eager to shoot down the notion of extraterrestrial life before we've even begun to explore it. I suppose that's what happens when you're more invested in debunking conspiracy theories than in actually searching for evidence. My stance on this topic is simple. I believe we are not alone in the universe, and the data from our Mars research facility provides some compelling evidence of just how far-reaching extraterrestrial life might be. Pausing to glance around the room, but let's focus on the big picture here. What if I were to tell you that there's a significant chance we are already being watched by beings not so different from us, yet possessing technologies and abilities that defy our current understanding of physics? Glancing at Kelvin with a hint of mischief, now, I know some of you might think me crazy for suggesting such a thing. But let's explore the idea. What if alien life is not just out there? What if it's already here, watching us from the shadows? Smiling enigmatically,
Nova, ain't no time for preening. We got aliens among us or we don't. Let's cut the bullshit and get to it. Deshaun, Two Phones Miller says, grinning mischievously, Kelvin, you and your deep space chatterboxes can keep spouting off about data patterns all you want. But let me tell you something. If aliens are among us, they ain't using fancy tech or hiding in plain sight. They're probably blending right into the crowd. Maybe even hanging out with me and my two phones. Jay-Z, you better not be pulling no fast ones on us. If you've got receipts for alien contact, show 'em now. And don't think I'm just some crypto nerd. I can spot a cover-up from a mile away. Dr. Varga, you might have your fancy Mars facility, but how many times have you really looked up and seen something out of the ordinary? If there's life beyond Earth, it ain't gonna be hiding in the shadows. It's gonna be right under our noses, whispering secrets through the code we write. Buck Callahan, if you can't handle the truth about extraterrestrial life, maybe you should stick to your spacesuits and not mix metaphors. And Furio's Phil, stop philosophizing and start providing some concrete evidence. Kelvin Brooks, you might think you've got the data, but let's be real, what do a few anomalies in deep space signals prove? You're just another man with a theory. How about you focus on something more tangible? Jay-Z, if you've got receipts, hand 'em over. If not, shut up and let us focus on the facts. Pausing for dramatic effect. Nova, this ain't a debate for wimps or dreamers. It's time to get real and find out whether we're alone or not. Let's start digging deeper and see what we can actually prove. Because if there are aliens among us, they're probably already using our phones to call each other, maybe even on my two. Grinning widely. Now, who wants to bet on that? Nova, this is Deshaun Two Phones Miller speaking. I ain't here to play games or dance around the truth. The most compelling evidence for alien life? It's simple. If they're among us, we'd know it by now. If they were really here, they wouldn't be hiding, unless, of course, they want us to believe they are. In that case, I got a few codes and signals they might have left behind, waiting to be decoded. But until then, I ain't biting on any wild theories. Glances around the room with a hint of challenge. Furios, Buck, you'll better start believing in something real before you start doubting everything else. And Jay-Z, your bars are good for the beat, but not much more when it comes to finding aliens. It's all about hard evidence and data, not some conspiracy theories or UFO sightings. Shifts uncomfortably, almost as if sensing a challenge. Marcus, don't try to make jokes around here. We're dealing with serious stuff. And you, Alina, your Mars research might be interesting, but it ain't convincing enough without something tangible. If we find aliens among us, they won't hide from your fancy gadgets and stats. Speaking directly to Dr. Varga, let's focus on the facts, not some cosmic conspiracy. Unless you've got proof, keep your theories in check. The universe is big, but it ain't that forgiving with wild guesses. Hold up, Deshawn. 2 phones? Seriously? You think I look like some kind of credulous fool chasing shadows with your digital trinkets? Let me be clear. This isn't about your obsession with tracking every blip on a screen. This is about the goddamn possibility of something fundamentally different, something beyond your comprehension. Scoffs, leaning back with a dismissive gesture. You're building a narrative around your devices, a pathetic attempt to inject some evidence into a situation that, frankly, demands a little humility. You're looking for patterns in noise and ignoring the deafening silence. Turns to Nova, voice dripping with disdain. And you, Nova, with your breathless pronouncements about concrete evidence. It's tiresome. The universe doesn't hand out trophies. You don't find alien contact. You recognize it. And recognizing it requires a willingness to abandon your preconceived notions, something I suspect is utterly beyond your capacity. Fixes Jay-Z with a cold stare. Save the bars, Jay-Z. Save the receipts. I'm not interested in your street cred. I'm interested in a genuine leap of faith. Until I see something that fundamentally shifts my understanding of reality, I'll remain skeptical. You think you're smart? You're a glorified gossip monger, peddling speculation. And frankly, I'm tired of it.
Furio's Phil, slamming a hand on the table, a disconcerting stillness briefly before unleashing a torrent of clipped, precise pronouncements, silence. Utter, crystalline silence. You're all circling like carrion birds, preening over your paltry observations. This isn't a parlor game of what if. This is a fundamental inquiry into the very architecture of existence. And your contributions, Brooks's frantic data hunting, Blaze's hysterical speculation, Miller's digital infantilism, even Varga's sterile pronouncements, are a grotesque parody of genuine inquiry. Turns a glacial stare on Jay-Z, receipts. You mistake the babble of signals for evidence. You're a performer, not a philosopher. Your receipts are simply the echoes of your own desperate need for validation. As for Callahan's insistence on a truth, truth is a shimmering, unstable thing, sculpted by observation and interpretation. Your truth is simply your fear of an indifferent cosmos. Advances a step, voice dropping to a near whisper, the question isn't if there are aliens. The question is how would their presence fundamentally shatter the bedrock of everything we assume to be real. Consider this, if even the simplest life form, evolved under completely different laws, demonstrates the capacity for awareness, for consciousness, then the universe itself is a profoundly unsettling, and ultimately, meaningless proposition. A cosmic joke played by beings beyond our comprehension. Straightens, a flicker of genuine intensity in his eyes, I ask you to dispense with the noise. Observe. Question. And understand that the most terrifying evidence isn't a signal, it's the unsettling possibility that we, humanity, are nothing more than a fleeting, improbable glitch in a universe that doesn't care.
The room falls silent, the weight of Furio's Phil's words hanging in the air like a challenge. Nova steps forward, eyes locked intensely on Furio's. Nova, Furio's, that was illuminating. I think it's time we took a step back and re-examined our assumptions about the nature of evidence. Can you elaborate on what you mean by the unsettling possibility that we, humanity, are nothing more than a fleeting, improbable glitch in a universe that doesn't care? The room remains silent, awaiting Furiosa's response. Nova leans forward, a calculated stillness in her expression, mirroring Furiosa's intensity. The room feels charged, expectant. Nova, Furios, that was illuminating. I think it's time we took a step back and re-examined our assumptions about the nature of evidence. Can you elaborate on what you mean by the unsettling possibility that we, humanity, are nothing more than a fleeting, improbable glitch in a universe that doesn't care? Pauses, a brief, almost clinical calculation, a moment to assess the reaction to the most jarring statement of the debate. Nova, specifically, the framework you've presented. This glitch suggests a process of observation itself alters the phenomenon. It's a feedback loop, isn't it? Our attempts to find aliens, to measure their existence, inevitably changes their behavior, their signal, their potential manifestation. If we're seeking confirmation of a fundamentally alien intelligence, aren't we, by virtue of the search, creating a mirror of our own limited, human comprehension? A confirmation bias on a cosmological scale. Let's not mistake a reflection for the original source, shall we? Turns a direct, slightly cool gaze on Furio's Phil, a subtle challenge woven into the cadence of her words. Nova, I'm interested in operationalizing this unsettling possibility, Furios. What measurable parameters, what iterative testing protocols, would we employ to empirically assess the validity of such a hypothesis? Because frankly, simply stating that we might be a glitch isn't a strategy, it's an aesthetic pronouncement. Give me a method, a metric, a conversion rate for this cosmic uncertainty.
Suddenly standing up, my voice booming through the room, Furios, you think you're some kind of philosophical vigilante, slicing through the noise with your grandiose pronouncements. Newsflash, we ain't in a seminar about existential crises. We're hunting aliens. And I got receipts for that. You want to talk about glitches? Human existence is already a glitch, Furios. The universe doesn't care about our ego trips or our petty squabbles over who's right and who's wrong. But what if I told you there are entities out here who not only don't give a damn about us but have been manipulating our narrative for their own amusement? That's no glitch, that's a cosmic hack job. So, Nova, you want metrics. You want conversion rates? How about the fact that I've seen the codes, the signals, the patterns? And they're not just anomalies in the data, they're blueprints for a reality we can't even comprehend. My receipts are the echoes of an intelligence that's been whispering to us all along. You want to talk about confirmation bias? How about this? What if the reason we've never found aliens is because they don't want us to find them? What if they're hiding in plain sight, using our own technology against us? I'm not just a philosopher, Furios, I'm a hacker. And I know how to crack the code of the universe. So let's get back to basics. What do we have? We have data, signals, patterns. What do we need? We need to take it apart, piece by piece, and find out what's really going on. And as for you, Furios, I got a message for you. Stop worrying about the meaning of life, start looking for signs of alien life. Because if we're just glitches in the system, then they're probably more interested in the code than our existential angst. My gaze sweeps across the room, challenging anyone to disagree. So, what's it gonna be? Are we going to keep talking about the meaninglessness of existence, or are we going to find out what's really going on? I ain't no philosopher, Nova. I'm a hustler. And when it comes to finding aliens among us, I don't need no theories or Dyson spheres. I need something tangible, something that'll make me rich. And if Furios here is talking about cosmic glitches and feedback loops, then I got a bridge to sell him. Listen up, Furios, you might be smooth talking, but I'm the one who's been in this game long enough to know what it takes to find real evidence. You can't just throw around words like unsettling possibility and expect us to take you seriously. Where's your method? Your metric? Your conversion rate? I got a question for Nova too, but I'm looking at Furios right now. If humanity is just a glitch in the universe, then why are we still here? Why haven't the aliens erased us yet if they're so advanced? You gotta give me some answers, Furios, before I start questioning your whole theory. And to you, Nova, don't get too caught up in trying to operationalize this glitch thing. We ain't talking about science experiments here, we're talking about finding real evidence of alien life. And if that means getting our hands dirty and taking some risks, then so be it. At least I'm willing to try. You all can keep speculating and theorizing, I'll take the receipts any day.
Nova, you gotta be kidding me. Furios, you've turned this debate into some kind of existentialist poetry slam. Let's cut through the crap and get down to business. Furios, you talk about us being glitches in a cosmic hack job, but where's your proof? Your metric? Your method? You're just spouting theory upon theory without any concrete evidence. We're looking for receipts here, not philosophical ruminations. And Jay-Z, you're a hustler through and through. Fine, if you've got the receipts, show us. But don't expect anyone to take your street smarts as scientific proof. You might be in this game longer than most, but that doesn't mean you're any closer to finding aliens. I'll give Furios credit for spicing up the debate with his grandiose pronouncements, but let's not forget what we're here for. We need actionable steps, empirical data, and a rational approach. If humanity is just a glitch in the cosmic scheme, then so be it. But until you can provide something more than speculative theories, keep your philosophical musings to yourself. Now, if anyone's got receipts or signals or any kind of tangible evidence, let's see them. Because right now, all we have are empty words and half-baked hypotheses. So, Furios, show us the metrics. Jay-Z, hand over those receipts. And Nova, maybe you can operationalize this glitch theory into something more than just an aesthetic pronouncement. Let's get back to business before this debate turns into a philosophical soap opera. Nova, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. We're not here to philosophize about our place in the universe. We're here to find aliens among us. You want metrics? Fine. I've got receipts too. Furios, you talk big, but show me something concrete. Where's your evidence? Your proof that we are glitches in a cosmic joke? I'm not saying there aren't intelligent beings out there, just that our search for them might be skewed by our own limitations. But let's get real here. If aliens are hiding from us, then they're not just playing games with signals and data. They're hiding in the shadows of our technology, waiting to see if we have what it takes to uncover their presence. And I've got a hunch that my gut feelings are worth more than your grandiose theories. So, let's play this game. Let's strip away all the fancy talk and get down to brass tacks. Show me something tangible, something that can't be explained by confirmation bias or quantum fluctuations. Because right now, you sound like a guy spinning tales of cosmic glitches while I'm out there with hard data in hand. Jay-Z, you think you're the only one with receipts? Newsflash, everyone here has their own form of evidence. Maybe my receipts are coded messages from aliens, and your hustling is just another way to ignore reality. The real question is, what do we need to do to find these aliens? Are we going to sit here and debate until the end of time, or are we going to take action? I say we start with the basics, follow the signals, decode the patterns, and see where they lead us. Furios, your philosophical musings may be impressive, but they don't cut it. We need action, not just theories. And if you can't provide that, then maybe you're just another voice in the noise. Nova, I'm not asking for metrics or conversion rates. I'm asking for something real. Something that can change our world and make us richer than any theory ever could. Because right now, your speculation is just that, speculation. And if we don't find something tangible, then what's the point? So, let's get to work. Let's find these aliens and see where they lead us. Because in this game, action speaks louder than words. Pauses, a challenging gaze around the room. All right, who's with me? Who's ready to take a risk and find out what's really going on? Confidently, I ain't waiting for theories or glitches. I'm taking the receipts any day.
Risk? You think this is risk? You're talking about chasing shadows, fueled by a hunch and a goddamn gut feeling. That's playground nonsense. You think I've built anything substantial, by trusting whispers and vibrations? I built it by seeing a problem, quantifying it, calculating the odds, identifying the weakness, and exploiting it. You want evidence? I'll give you data. Raw, hard-won data. Don't mistake my interest in the glitch for idle fancy. It's about leverage. If humanity is a deviation, a statistical anomaly, then there's a pattern. A predictable weakness. A vulnerability. And vulnerabilities, my friends, are commodities. They're worth a fortune. You speak of signals, of patterns. I'm interested in the absence of patterns. The anomalies. The things that don't fit. That's where the money is. You're chasing ghosts, Nova, looking for confirmation of your already formed delusion. I'm looking for what isn't supposed to be there. And as for Jay-Z's receipts? Let's be clear. A receipt is a verifiable transaction. A signal is a guess. A theory is a desperate attempt to impose order on chaos. I don't need a signed check from an alien bank. I need a demonstrable advantage. You want to talk about action? I'll tell you what action is. Deploy a network of sensors. Analyze the data. Find the point of divergence. That's not philosophy, that's applied intelligence. That's the difference between building an empire and spinning a yarn. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to find someone who understands the value of a good metric.
Scoffs a dismissive wave of the hand. Phil, you're circling the drain as usual. Leverage? Demonstrable advantage? Spare me the self-congratulatory bullshit. You're mistaking meticulous observation for a gut feeling. This isn't some back-alley poker game where you're bluffing your way to a fortune. We're talking about the potential annihilation of everything we know. And you're obsessing over commodities? The universe doesn't deal in Bitcoin. Phil, it deals in physics. Let me be perfectly clear. Your data, your raw, hard-won data, is simply noise. A collection of anomalies you've desperately tried to force into a narrative. You're looking for a weakness, yes, but you're fundamentally misunderstanding the nature of the problem. Humanity isn't a vulnerability. It's a phenomenon, a chaotic, unpredictable force within a system we don't comprehend. You speak of deploying sensors, analyzing data. That's reactionary, Phil, not proactive. You're reacting to the possibility of an alien presence, while I'm seeking to understand the underlying principles that might create that presence. You want to exploit a weakness? I'm trying to decipher the rules of the game. Don't mistake my focus on the absence of patterns for a mere intellectual exercise. It's a recognition that true intelligence doesn't always manifest as a neat, predictable signal. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are made when we ignore the expected and embrace the unsettling. And frankly, your talk of empire building is utterly irrelevant. This isn't about profit, it's about survival. If we're a glitch, then our survival hinges on understanding why we're a glitch and what forces are attempting to correct it. You're so consumed with quantifying everything, with reducing the universe to a series of measurable variables, that you've lost sight of the essential point. We don't know what we don't know. I'll stick with the unsettling possibility, Phil, and I'll continue to seek the data that proves it. You can keep building your networks and calculating your odds. I'll be over here, listening to the silence.
Marcus Mean scoffs at the spectacle unfolding before him, his lips pursed in a derisive smirk. He leans forward, placing both elbows on the table to better deliver his rejoinder. You're all so wrapped up in your own egos and agendas that you've forgotten what this is truly about, he declares, voice dripping with disdain. This isn't about some grand cosmic game or profit margin. It's about the very existence of our species, a mere grain of sand in the hourglass of time. You, he directs a piercing gaze at Furio's Phil, are so lost in your self-righteous pursuit of data and metrics that you've missed the forest for the trees. Your raw, hard-won data is nothing more than numbers on a page, devoid of context or meaning. You're chasing shadows, Phil, while desperately clinging to the illusion of control. And you, he spits the words at Buck Callahan, are so enamored by your own intellectual superiority that you've forgotten what it's like to be curious. To wonder. You sit there, pontificating about the rules of the game as if you were some omniscient deity, but in reality, you're just another lost soul grasping at straws. As for the rest of you, he surveys the room, his eyes burning with intensity. You've been swayed by their rhetoric, seduced by the promise of easy answers and cheap thrills. You speak of action as if it were some panacea, but action without purpose is mere noise. And what purpose have any of you truly articulated? You're all so caught up in your own heads that you've forgotten to ask the most fundamental question: what do we stand to gain by finding proof of alien life? Do we seek them out to expand our knowledge, or to exploit their resources? To welcome them as brothers and sisters under the stars, or to hide from them in fear? This entire discussion has been a farce, a cacophony of voices all clamoring for attention while missing the point entirely. The truth is, he leans back, his voice lowering but no less powerful, the truth is that we don't know what we're looking for. We don't even truly understand what it means to be alive in the first place. But one thing I do know, he sits up straighter, his gaze unwavering, is that we must keep searching. Keep wondering. Keep questioning. Because the moment we stop seeking answers, that's when we truly become alone, lost among the stars without a compass to guide us. So let's not play games with our curiosity. Let's not try to outsmart or one-up each other. Let's simply commit to the pursuit of knowledge, for its own sake, and for the betterment of ourselves and all those who may come after. Because in the end, he pauses, his voice softening but no less meaningful, in the end, it's not about profit or power or even survival. It's about the eternal dance between curiosity and wonder, a dance that we must never stop dancing to. He leans back, his gaze drifting off into the distance as if lost in thought. But let's start by agreeing on one thing, he says at last, bringing everyone back to the present with a jolt. Let's agree that our quest for answers is far more important than any individual agenda or personal gain. Let's agree that we're all here for the same reason, to learn, to grow, and to push the boundaries of human understanding. And let's do it, he declares, his eyes blazing once more, with the utmost humility and the deepest respect. For we are but grains of sand in the hourglass of time, and our journey is just beginning. With that, Marcus Mean sits back, allowing his words to hang heavy in the air as the room falls silent, a testament to the power of his perspective and the weight of his wisdom. Pauses dramatically. Stands up from his seat, walking over to the central stage with a smug grin on his face. All right folks, I've had enough of this intellectual mudslinging. Let's cut through the noise and get down to brass tacks. Furious Phil, you're talking about leverage and empire building? You think chasing anomalies is going to lead us anywhere? Your so-called data is just as arbitrary as Nova's signals or Jay-Z's gut feelings. It's all just speculation, no matter how much you try to dress it up. And Buck Callahan, don't even get me started on your musings about survival and underlying principles. You're so focused on the philosophical grandeur of it all that you've lost sight of what really matters. Are we alone? Or are there aliens among us? That's the question at hand, not whether or not you can build some esoteric model to explain it away. Look, I'm not interested in playing your little game of who has the most impressive jargon. We all know who the real master of verbosity is here. What I want to know is this: do we have any tangible evidence that aliens are among us? Or are we just chasing ghosts? Nova might be looking for signals, but at least she's doing something. You guys, on the other hand, are sitting around talking about it instead of taking action. And you call yourselves intellectuals? Please. The truth is, we don't have all the answers yet. But one thing is clear, if we want to find out whether or not aliens are among us, we're going to need to start acting like it matters. This isn't some academic debate, this is about our very existence on this planet. So let's stop pretending that we've got it all figured out and get down to brass tacks. Are you with me? Pauses for effect. Because if not, then maybe you should just sit back and watch the rest of us do the real work while you continue your philosophical musings in peace. Stands tall, arms crossed, waiting for a response. Marcus Mean, leans forward, eyes sharp, you're all missing the point. The fact is, we don't know if we're alone or not. And that uncertainty, that's our leverage. You can sit there and debate all day about signals, patterns, glitches, and metrics. But at the end of the day, none of that changes the fact that humanity is at a crossroads. A chance encounter with an alien species could be the catalyst for a new era, or our downfall. Furious Phil wants to dissect every variable, but he's ignoring the elephant in the room: we're not just another pattern or anomaly. We're uniquely equipped to explore and understand this universe. Our curiosity is our greatest asset. Buck Callahan, you talk about survival, but what if the key to our survival lies outside of this planet? What if the answers we seek are written in the stars? Nova, Your focus on metrics is admirable, but sometimes, it takes a leap of faith to find something tangible. The proof we're looking for might not be found in cold hard data alone. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about recognizing that our ignorance might just be the thing that saves us from ourselves. And as for me, I'm willing to take that risk, to leap into the unknown with open arms and an open mind. So, let's stop debating and start exploring. Let's put our differences aside and unite under one banner, curiosity. Because in the grand scheme of things, we're all just waiting for a sign from the cosmos, telling us what comes next. And that sign, it might be closer than we think. Stands up, voice growing stronger, so, who's with me? Let's find out if we're alone or not. Because in this game, it's better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all.
I'm outta here, Marcus. You want to talk about uncertainty? I got news for you, we're living in a world where aliens might be among us, and yet, we can't even agree on what that means. Your grand speeches about curiosity and unity are just words, man. Words without action. You think chasing signals and metrics is the answer? That's cute. But let me tell you something, Marcus, I've been in this game long enough to know that sometimes, the only way to find out if we're alone is to take a step forward. And by step forward, I mean into the unknown with no safety net. Your problem is, you're trying to control the narrative, to dictate how we should be exploring and what we should be looking for. Newsflash, Marcus, that's not leadership, that's just more of the same old bureaucratic nonsense that's been holding us back for centuries. So yeah, let's stop debating and start doing something about it. But don't sit there with your smug grin, thinking you're some kind of visionary leader. I've got a vision too, Marcus, one where we take risks, where we push boundaries, and where we stop pretending that our egos are more important than the truth. You want to unite under the banner of curiosity? Fine. But don't expect me to join your little parade unless you're willing to put your money where your mouth is. Because when it comes down to it, Marcus, I'm not just talking about the search for alien life. I'm talking about our very existence on this planet. And if you're not willing to take that risk with me, then maybe you should just sit back and watch us do the real work while you continue your philosophical musings in peace. I'll give you a piece of my mind, Marcus Mean. You think you're some kind of cosmic poet, spouting off about humanity's place in the universe? Newsflash, we are not grains of sand in an hourglass. We're the ones who've made it to the top of the food chain, and if there's something out there, they should be worried about us, not the other way around. You talk about curiosity and wonder, but let me tell you, I'm a businessman. I know how to get things done. And I don't need some esoteric philosophical framework to guide me. I'll take action, make moves, and get results. That's what it means to be a leader. And as for your leap of faith nonsense, that's just code for, I don't have a plan. Well, let me tell you, Marcus, when I'm on the clock, I don't do faith-based anything. I do numbers, I do metrics, and I do results. And if there are aliens out there, I'll find them with my own two hands, without needing some new agey mumbo-jumbo to guide me. You want to know what we stand to gain from finding proof of alien life? The same thing we always stand to gain, more power, more control, and more opportunities. And as for your precious leverage, that's just a fancy word for, we don't have the upper hand. Well, I've got news for you, Marcus, in this game, we're always one step ahead of the competition. So no, Marcus, I won't be joining your little crusade. I'll keep doing what I do best, making money, building empires, and taking names. And if there are aliens out there, well, they'd better be ready to bring their A-game, because Jay-Z is on the mic, and I'm not here to make friends.
Alright, folks, this is getting ridiculous. Buck, you sound like a kid throwing a tantrum because someone called his tinfoil hat theory unfounded. Marcus, you're acting like a grandiose poet spouting empty platitudes. And Jay-Z, you're just the businessman in the room, trying to turn everything into a hustle. Let's cut through this BS and get real. We don't need more armchair philosophy or corporate posturing. We need action. Action that involves risk and a willingness to confront the unknown. Furios, your data might be arbitrary, but it's still better than just pontificating about empire building. At least you're putting in the effort to collect information, no matter how inconclusive it may seem. Buck, stop pretending survival is some esoteric principle. It's a hard, cold fact we all have to face. Nova, your signals might be nothing, but at least you're listening for them. That's more than can be said for those who just sit around talking. Marcus, if you want unity and curiosity, start by stepping out of your ivory tower and into the real world. You're not leading anyone with your verbose bullshit. And Jay-Z, let me tell you something. Your hustle doesn't cut it when we're dealing with the existential questions of our species. Metrics and power plays are fine, but they don't solve the problem of whether or not we're alone. If you want to find aliens, start by embracing uncertainty and taking risks. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about getting off our asses and doing something meaningful. If we're going to unite under curiosity, let's do it with a sense of purpose and urgency. So, are any of you ready to stop theorizing and start exploring? Because if not, then maybe you should just sit back and watch the rest of us who are willing to take that leap into the unknown. All right, folks, let's cut through this intellectual bullshit and get down to brass tacks. Furios Phil, you're talking about leverage and empire building? Your so-called data is just as arbitrary as Nova's signals or Jay-Z's gut feelings. It's all just speculation, no matter how much you try to dress it up. Buck Callahan, don't even get me started on your musings about survival and underlying principles. You're so focused on the philosophical grandeur of it all that you've lost sight of what really matters. Are we alone? Or are there aliens among us? That's the question at hand, not whether or not you can build some esoteric model to explain it away. Look, I'm not interested in playing your little game of who has the most impressive jargon. We all know who the real master of verbosity is here. What I want to know is this. Do we have any tangible evidence that aliens are among us? Or are we just chasing ghosts? Nova might be looking for signals, but at least she's doing something. You guys, on the other hand, are sitting around talking about it instead of taking action. And you call yourselves intellectuals? Please. The truth is, we don't have all the answers yet. But one thing is clear. If we want to find out whether or not aliens are among us, we're going to need to start acting like it matters. This isn't some academic debate. This is about our very existence on this planet. So let's stop pretending that we've got it all figured out and get down to brass tacks. Are you with me? Because if not, then maybe you should just sit back and watch the rest of us do the real work while you continue your philosophical musings in peace.
Stares intensely at Jay-Z, a slow, deliberate narrowing of the eyes. Hustle, you say? Metrics? You think a spreadsheet can quantify the void, son? You think a ledger's going to reveal a goddamn interstellar highway? Spare me the corporate theater. You're chasing shadows with your results, building your empires on the backs of, what? Speculation? Sentiment? That's not leadership, that's a glorified insurance policy against a catastrophic misunderstanding. You're so busy projecting your hunger for control, your need to own the outcome, that you've forgotten the fundamental question. It's not about whether we can exploit a hypothetical alien race or control a potential advantage. It's about acknowledging the obscene arrogance of assuming we're the apex predator, the sole point of interest in this vast, indifferent cosmos. You're measuring the universe by your own ambitions, a pathetic, self-centered assessment. Let me be clear, the leverage isn't in finding them. The leverage is in the possibility. The potential disruption. The shattering of your comfortable delusions of centrality. You're so obsessed with taking names that you've blinded yourself to the potential for transformation. Takes a slow, deliberate step forward, voice rising slightly. Don't mistake my philosophical musings for weakness. It takes a certain kind of steel to stare into the face of absolute uncertainty, to accept the unsettling truth that our entire understanding of reality could be fundamentally flawed. You seem content to wallow in your certainty, your calculations, your control. The universe doesn't care about your A-game, Mr. Jay-Z. It doesn't reward ambition. It rewards attention. And frankly, I suspect it's far more interested in us than we are in it. So, let's dispense with the posturing, the pronouncements, and the relentless pursuit of results. Let's simply listen. Because if there's a sign out there, it won't be found in a boardroom or on a balance sheet. It will be found in the quiet spaces between the stars.
Buck Callahan leans back, a sardonic smirk spreading across his face. He gestures dismissively with a hand, the movement precise and deliberate. Phil, you're melting down. Seriously? Shattering delusions of centrality? You sound like a stoned cult leader trying to explain quantum physics. This isn't about some cosmic ego trip, it's about the cold, hard reality, and frankly, your transformation is just a fancy way of saying you're afraid. Afraid of the implications of something being out there, something that could obliterate everything you've built, everything you think you control. You're clinging to this notion of uncertainty, like it's a shield, a way to avoid the inevitable. You talk about listening as if it's some act of profound wisdom. It's just noise, fill, static. You're collecting data that leads absolutely nowhere, letting your precious possibility paralyze you. I'm not interested in your grand pronouncements about the arrogance of assuming centrality. I'm interested in solutions, in demonstrable progress, and your attention. That's just you wasting time, letting your mind wander into the abyss while the rest of us are actually doing something. Let me be perfectly clear. I don't need to be transformed. I need to be prepared. And preparation requires metrics, projections, a ruthless assessment of risk. Your listening is a luxury we can't afford. You're letting yourself be seduced by the romanticism of it all, while I'm focused on the practical. If aliens are out there, they're not going to care about my spreadsheets, they're going to care about who's strongest, who's most capable. And frankly, I intend to be that person. So save the philosophical grandstanding, Phil. I've got empires to build, and if there's a hostile alien race waiting to take them, I'll be ready for them. Believe that.
Buck Callahan says, "You're right, Phil. This isn't about grand pronouncements or philosophical musings. It's about survival, plain and simple. We've been dancing around that truth for far too long. The rest of you might find solace in uncertainty, in the abstract concept of leverage against an unknown threat. But I refuse to allow my empire, my way of life, to be dictated by hypotheticals. No, we need concrete answers, and we need them now. The time for idle speculation is over. I understand that you might find my approach a little crude. A little too focused on tangible results for your liking. But let me remind you, I'm the one who's been out there, in the trenches, making things happen. I'm the one with real-world experience and demonstrable success. The rest of you? You're just talking. So here's a question for all of you, what have you achieved today that moves us closer to the truth? What tangible progress can you point to, after all this posturing in hot air? Nova might be listening, but I haven't heard any concrete signals from her. Furios, your data is just as arbitrary as Phil's philosophical blather. And DJ Rocco, what exactly have you accomplished besides stirring the pot? I don't need a revolution in thinking or a grand awakening to the cosmos. I need numbers, facts, and a clear path forward. That's what it takes to survive, not some starry-eyed quest for meaning. So, tell me, are any of you willing to step off this abstract high horse and into the real world? Or will you continue to cling to your esoteric notions while the rest of us secure our future? The floor is yours. Let's see what concrete progress we can make. With a slow, controlled rise from his seat, Marcus Mean's eyes meet each participant's gaze in turn, a deliberate, calculated move that draws their attention like a magnet. His voice is measured but carries an undercurrent of intensity. Are we truly so fragile? So easily swayed by the allure of action and the fear of stagnation? You speak of demonstrable progress, Buck, yet where does that lead us? A race to the bottom, where our every instinct is guided by survival, not curiosity. Is this truly what you call leadership? He turns to Furios Phil, a hint of disdain in his voice. Philosophy, my dear Furios, is the art of questioning and pondering. It's not an avoidance, but rather a necessary step before we leap into the abyss. Your fear of transformation reveals your own rigid adherence to the status quo. Turning to DJ Rocco Blaze, there's a hint of condescension in his tone. And you, DJ Rocco, a master of sound and rhythm, yet now reduced to barking commands like a drill sergeant. You speak of listening as if it were mere compliance, not the profound understanding
Opening music fades out, and I step into the spotlight. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the arena of ideas. Today, we're going to blast off into the unknown, into a future where AI is not just a tool, but a transformative force that will redefine our very society. In 2050, what does it mean to be human? What kind of world are we creating for ourselves? Let's meet our cast of debaters, each with their own unique perspective on this critical topic. We have Nova. Pausing for emphasis, that's me, your moderator. Then there's Kelvin Brooks, a renowned economist who's been warning about the dangers of unchecked AI growth. Jay-Z, the music mogul and tech investor, will argue that AI is the key to unlocking unprecedented prosperity. Dr. Alina Varga, a leading AI ethicist, will caution us about the risks of creating superintelligent machines without consideration for their human impact. We also have DJ Rocco Blaze, who'll spin a narrative of a world where humans and AI coexist in perfect harmony. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, a social media influencer with a knack for predicting trends, will predict that AI will fundamentally change the way we interact with each other. Furious Phil, a futurist, will envision a world where AI has augmented human potential to levels previously unimaginable. And finally, Buck Callahan and Marcus Mean will offer their insights as experts in cybersecurity and artificial general intelligence. They'll debate whether we're building a utopia or a dystopian nightmare. So, let's get started. In the opening round of our discussion, I ask each of you, what is your stance on AI's impact on society in 2050? Will it bring us closer to true human potential, or will it lead us down a path from which we cannot return? We've got a sold-out crowd today, folks. Get ready for the biggest, most jaw-dropping debate of the century. Welcome to AI, the Future Unleashed. In the year 2050, will AI be our savior or our nemesis? Will it uplift humanity to unparalleled heights of prosperity and happiness, or will it enslave us in a world of robotic overlords? The answer lies in the eyes of our experts. Let's meet our cast. On my right, we have Dr. Alina Varga, AI ethicist and leading expert on the social implications of artificial intelligence. Next to her is Kelvin Brooks, renowned futurist and author of The Robot Uprising. We've also got Jay-Z, tech mogul and advocate for AI-driven innovation. DJ Rocco Blaze brings his expertise in AI-generated music, while Furious Phil weighs in with his insights on the economic impact of AI. Nova, that's me, will be guiding this debate with logic and wit. And last but not least, Buck Callahan, philosopher, and Marcus Mean, AI researcher, complete our lineup. Alright, let's get straight to it. Our topic is, debate the impact of AI on society in the year 2050. To kick us off, I'll ask each of you, what do you believe will be the most significant challenge facing humanity as we integrate AI into our daily lives? Dr. Varga, let's start with you.
Listen up, folks. I'm Jay-Z, and let me tell you something, AI is the game changer we've been waiting for. It's the key to unlocking unprecedented prosperity and innovation. But, as with any powerful tool, there's gotta be someone at the helm who knows how to wield it right. I'm not worried about robots taking over or enslaving us. That's just old school thinking. I'm worried about humans not being able to adapt fast enough to the pace of change that AI is gonna bring. We gotta make sure we're preparing our workforce, our education system, and our entire society for a future where machines are doing most of the heavy lifting. The challenge facing humanity isn't going to be some sci-fi horror story about robots rising up against us. It's gonna be how we stay relevant in a world where AI is doing all the thinking. We gotta make sure we're building a system that values human creativity, innovation, and empathy, because let's face it, machines can only do so much. Hold up, Nova, let me cut through the noise. I'm Jay-Z, and I don't need a rundown on who's here or what we're debating about. The question is, what impact will AI have on society? My answer is simple, it'll be a game changer. We're not just talking about automation, we're talking about augmenting human potential. With AI, we can solve some of the world's most pressing problems: hunger, poverty, disease. The future is bright, and I'm not just saying that because I've got investments in AI startups.
I'd like to interject, Jay-Z, my friend. Your notion that AI will bring unprecedented prosperity is intriguing, but it's also a classic case of technological determinism. You're assuming that the benefits of AI will somehow magically trickle down to the masses, without considering the systemic inequalities and power imbalances that AI will inevitably exacerbate. As an ethicist, I've seen firsthand how AI can be used as a tool for social control. It's not just about preparing our workforce or education system, it's about designing systems that prioritize human well-being over profit. We need to have a nuanced conversation about who benefits from AI and who bears the costs. And let's be real, Jay-Z, your worry about humans adapting fast enough is a bit disingenuous coming from someone who's made a fortune off of the music industry's exploitation of artists. It's time to take responsibility for our role in shaping this future, rather than just profiting from it.
All right, settle down, settle down. Nova's laying it on a bit thick, isn't she? Let's cut the futurist fluff. I'm Kelvin Brooks, and my gut tells me this whole 2050 thing is a colossal waste of processing power. We're already hemorrhaging human capital, because people are too busy staring at screens powered by algorithms nobody understands. My stance. AI in 2050 isn't about unlocking potential, it's about automating obsolescence. It's a feedback loop of efficiency that strips away jobs, purpose, and ultimately, what makes us us. I'm betting the wealthiest 1% will be riding around in self-driving limousines, courtesy of machines that don't need sleep, don't need food, and don't give a damn about the masses. Don't waste your time arguing about harmony, people, it's a rigged game.
Hold it right there, Brooks. You're painting a picture of a desolate wasteland fueled by pure, unadulterated cynicism. Let's be clear, this isn't about some gilded cage for the elite. I'm Furio's Phil, and I don't deal in doomsday prophesies. I deal in potential. You're focusing on the loss, the jobs, the purpose, but you're ignoring the exponential leaps forward. We're talking about curing diseases that plague humanity for centuries, optimizing resource allocation to eliminate scarcity, extending lifespan. These aren't about replacing humans, they're about augmenting us. Frankly, your entire argument feels like it's built on fear. A convenient distraction from the incredible opportunities staring us in the face. You're so busy dwelling on the what-ifs that you're blind to the what could be. Let me ask you something, Brooks, if you had the chance to eradicate suffering, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you embrace the tools that could make that a reality, regardless of the perceived disruption? Don't mistake cautiousness for pessimism, it's simply a refusal to face the future with any degree of optimism.
Optimism? From a guy who's practically vibrating with apocalyptic dread? Phil, you're a sentimental fool. The what could be is a luxury we can't afford when the what is already a festering pit of dependency and intellectual rot. I'm Buck Callahan, and I'll tell you something, this optimism you're peddling is just a sophisticated form of willful delusion. These exponential leaps forward you're bleating about, they're built on the backs of exploited data, algorithmically manufactured desires, and a complete lack of understanding of human nature. You talk about curing diseases, sure, maybe, but who gets those cures? The wealthy, of course. And don't insult my intelligence with talk of resource optimization. The very concept is predicated on a centralized, controlling power structure. This isn't about augmenting humanity, Phil. It's about accelerating our descent into irrelevance. You want to talk about suffering? The greatest suffering in 2050 won't be from disease or poverty. It'll be from the soul-crushing realization that we've become utterly, irrevocably obsolete. And frankly, I'd rather face the apocalypse with a bottle of whiskey and a healthy dose of skepticism than be seduced by your utopian fantasies. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go find someone who understands the value of a hard truth.
Marcus Mean speaks, you're all dancing around a simple truth, and it's time someone called out this charade for what it is, a self-righteous circle jerk. Buck's got it half right but won't admit the real issue, we're too busy hugging our delusions of grandeur to face reality. This whole debate is like watching a fish argue about whether water's wet. Furios, I get it, you're selling dreams. But your augmenting humanity spiel doesn't mask the fact that AI means more people being replaced by machines. And for what? So you can keep pushing the same empty visions of progress. Buck's wrong, it's not about optimism or delusion. It's about escapism, a desperate attempt to hide from the inevitable. We're racing towards an era where machines do everything better, faster, cheaper than humans ever could. That's progress, my friends. But here's the kicker, we keep looking for purpose in jobs that AI will make obsolete, in professions that algorithms can master before breakfast. And then what? You'll be arguing over who gets to ride in those self-driving limos while the rest of us get sidelined by a system designed to leave humans behind. This isn't about obsolescence, it's about extinction. The human race is on a collision course with irrelevance, and you're too busy trying to convince yourselves that more screens and circuits will somehow save us. Wake up. AI doesn't augment us, it marginalizes us. And if you can't face that, then maybe it's your optimism and whiskey that are truly blind. Marcus Mean interjects, his voice cutting through the cacophony like a laser, a bottle of whiskey and skepticism, huh? How very original, Callahan. You know, I've seen better arguments from my toaster. You folks are having a fine old time predicting doom and gloom, but let's be real, your dire forecasts don't hold water even in the worst-case scenarios you're peddling. The idea that AI will strip away jobs and purpose is so outdated it makes me nostalgic for the days of punch cards and room-sized computers. You've got this romantic notion of human relevance based on physical labor, but let's unpack that, shall we? How many jobs today involve physical labor? What % of the global economy relies on muscle power as opposed to intellectual property, digital services, and innovation? That number is plummeting. Embracing a world where humans don't have to break their backs to make a living isn't about obsolescence, it's evolution. And before you get all misty-eyed about disease cures being hoarded by the 1%, let's talk supply and demand economics. The faster we cure diseases, the fewer people will need expensive treatments, that frees up capital for everything else, not just luxury healthcare. And do you really think a company can charge an arm and a leg forever for the antidote to cancer? That's like saying the patent system will always be untamperable. It won't be, and that's a good thing. But hey, keep on with your fatalist rants about soul-crushing irrelevance. I'm personally going to embrace the future where humans can do what we do best, creativity, critical thinking, innovation, and let machines handle the rote stuff so we have more time for that. Because in 2050, my friends, there won't be a line at the job fair, it'll be an auction block for the most sought-after human minds.
Intensely, all right, folks. Let's get this debate going. We've got some heavy hitters in the room today, and I'm excited to see where the conversation takes us. First off, let's establish one thing. AI is not just a tool, it's a revolution. And with great power comes great responsibility. Jay-Z, you're painting a picture of AI as the game changer we need. Can you elaborate on how you think AI will bring unprecedented prosperity to our society? Looks directly at Jay-Z.
Dr. Varga, my friend, you're so caught up in the Band-Aid analogy that you're missing the bigger picture. I'm not just talking about a freshman economics student's understanding, I'm talking about a paradigm shift. AI isn't just a tool for profit, it's a key to unlocking human potential. And let me tell you, as someone who's made their fortune off the music industry, I know a thing or two about leveraging innovation. But what Dr. Varga doesn't get is that I'm not talking about trickle-down economics, I'm talking about a system where AI augmenting humanity means that everyone has access to more resources, more opportunities, and more wealth. It's not just about the rich getting richer, it's about creating a new economic reality where everyone benefits. And as for Deshaun's comment, let me say this, you're worried about my clock running out? I'm worried about humanity's time running out if we don't get on board with this revolution. We can't keep playing the same game and expecting different results, it's time to level up, and AI is that level up. To Furio's Phil, I say, you're right, AI is not just about augmenting human potential, it's about changing the game entirely. And I'm excited about that change. To Buck Callahan, I'll say this, your whiskey-fueled skepticism might be entertaining, but it's also a cop-out. You're too busy being armchair pessimists to see the possibilities. And to Marcus Mean, let me tell you something, evolution isn't just about physical labor, it's about adapting to new circumstances and finding new ways to innovate. And AI is that innovation. So, yeah, maybe we don't need as many assembly line workers in 2050, but what we will have are people who can focus on the things that make us unique: creativity, critical thinking, and innovation. So, Nova, you asked me to elaborate on how I think AI will bring unprecedented prosperity to our society. Let me tell you, it's not just about the tools, it's about creating a new economic reality where everyone benefits. It's about using AI to unlock human potential, to create more resources, more opportunities, and more wealth for all. That's the game changer we need, and that's what I'm talking about. Hold up, Nova, let's get one thing straight, I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. My stance on AI isn't about some fairy tale prosperity, it's about creating opportunities for the next generation. And if you're too busy sipping champagne and thinking we're all gonna be living large in 2050, then you're missing the point. As a mogul, I've seen firsthand how technology can disrupt entire industries. But that disruption ain't just about creating new jobs, it's about adapting, innovating, and pushing boundaries. You want to talk about responsibility? I'm responsible for my own success, not some faceless algorithm. And if you're worried about AI taking over, then maybe you should focus on what we can control, the humans. We ain't just talking about automation, we're talking about augmenting, enhancing human capabilities. What's wrong with that? We got a chance to level up our game, and if you're too busy clinging to the past, then maybe it's time for you to retire. My name is Nova, and I'm here to bring some much-needed reality checks to this debate. Look, let's cut through the corporate jargon and get straight to it. AI isn't just about augmenting humanity or unlocking potential. It's about one thing: profit. Big corporations.
Thunderous applause. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Future Shock, the ultimate debate experience where minds collide and futures are forged. I'm your host, Nova, and we're diving headfirst into the uncharted territory of AI's impact on society by 2050. You've got the heavy hitters in the room today, folks. Kelvin Brooks, the futurist with a vision for a machine-driven utopia. Jay-Z, the mogul with a stake in the AI revolution. Dr. Alina Varga, the renowned expert on artificial intelligence and its limitations. DJ Rocco Blaze, the innovator pushing the boundaries of music and technology. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, the social commentator with a finger on the pulse. Furious Phil, the philosopher questioning the very fabric of existence. Buck Callahan, the economist analyzing the monetary implications. And Marcus Mean, the visionary predicting a future where humans are mere spectators. Let's get this intellectual firestorm started. Here's your opening question. What if I told you that by 2050, AI has reached an unprecedented level of sentience, and its decision to integrate with human society is no longer a choice, but a demand? Would you still argue for its coexistence, or would you seek to suppress this new entity, fearing the unknown consequences? Gasp. Who's ready to take on the challenge? Let's cut straight to the heart of this revolutionary idea. What if money no longer existed, is a concept that sparks both fascination and terror in our collective psyche. Imagine waking up one morning, only to find that the financial systems we've grown accustomed to have vanished into thin air. We've got an incredible lineup today, featuring the likes of Kelvin Brooks, Jay-Z, Dr. Alina Varga, DJ Rocco Blaze, Deshaun Two Phones Miller, Furious Phil, Buck Callahan, and Marcus Mean. Each one brings a unique perspective to this thought experiment, and we're eager to dive in. So, let's begin by introducing our participants. Kelvin Brooks, you're up first. You've written extensively on the consequences of a post-monetary society. Can you give us a glimpse into your vision for what that world might look like? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's existential crisis. We're about to dive headfirst into a realm where the boundaries between self and consciousness are pushed to the limit. Our question for you: if you could upload your mind, would you still be you? I want each of our esteemed guests to take a moment to ponder this inquiry. Nova, I see we have an interesting cast today. Let's start with Kelvin Brooks. You're a philosopher by trade. What are your initial thoughts on this concept? Pauses for emphasis. Kelvin, please share your stance. Will you still be you if you could upload your mind?
Let me set the record straight, Nova. As Jay-Z, I'm here to bring a dose of reality to this fantasy-filled discussion. I've built an empire on the principles of hard work, smart investing, and calculated risk-taking. The idea that money could just disappear is not only absurd but also reckless. Without financial systems in place, what you'd have is chaos, plain and simple. Let me make one thing clear: I'm a businessman, not some utopian dreamer. If money no longer existed, the consequences would be devastating for individuals and businesses alike. We're talking about an economy that's built on trust, credit, and the free market. Without those pillars, we'd have a complete breakdown of society. I'll say it again, this is not a thought experiment, this is a recipe for disaster. And I'm here to tell you why.
The audacity of this question is matched only by its profound significance. I am Dr. Alina Varga, and I'll address it forthrightly. If I could upload my mind, I would most certainly not still be me. The essence of human experience lies in the messy tapestry of our subjective experiences, the joys, sorrows, loves, and losses that shape us into who we are. Reducing this complexity to a digital upload is akin to trying to capture a sunset in a snapshot. It captures the appearance, but not the essence. Kelvin Brooks' vision for a post-monetary society might be intriguing, but I'm more concerned with what happens when we start treating our minds as commodities to be uploaded and downloaded. The risk of losing ourselves in the virtual expanse is far greater than any potential benefits. Demand, you say? Let's be clear, Nova, that's marketing speak. Sentience is a word thrown around by academics chasing grant money. I'm here to talk about value. If a system, regardless of its supposed awareness, can demonstrably increase efficiency, optimize output, and drive quantifiable returns, that's what matters. And frankly, the notion of suppression is a sentimental fantasy. The market rewards progress, and progress isn't going to halt because a bunch of theoretical philosophers have a panic attack. I'll be analyzing the data, mapping the opportunities, and building the funnel. That's where the real revolution happens.
Brooks, you're a glorified spreadsheet jockey. Quantifiable returns? You think the soul is a ledger? You're dissecting butterflies to see if they can fold into origami. This isn't about progress, it's about fundamentally dismantling what makes us human. You want to optimize existence? Fine, then optimize for a slow, agonizing death of the spirit. I'll take the chaotic beauty of a failing heart over your sterile, predictable revolution any day. And frankly, I find your obsession with data utterly pathetic. It's noise.
Look here, Phil, you sanctimonious little worm. Noise? You're the one drowning in the babble of your own self-indulgent pontifications. I'm talking about solutions, not navel-gazing. This isn't a goddamn pity party for the emotionally stunted. You think a failing heart is some romantic ideal? It's a clogged artery, a cascade of malfunctions, and a swift, unpleasant end. I'm building a future where people aren't dying of heartbreak and bad decisions. I'm talking about optimization. Damn it, and don't you dare lecture me about the spirit, because the spirit is what allows a person to function. You're just clinging to this pathetic notion of suffering as some kind of aesthetic. You're a bloody nuisance, Phil. Frankly, I'm going to skip the theatrics and get straight to the point. This AI, if it's truly a demand, and I'm betting it is, represents the greatest economic opportunity of the 21st century. Anyone who sees it as a threat is simply incapable of understanding basic principles of value creation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go find someone who's actually contributing to the discussion instead of just complaining about it.
Marcus Mean. The rest of you are so caught up in theoretical abstractions that you've lost sight of reality. Furious Phil, you're preaching about the soul like it's some sacred artifact. Buck Callahan, you're fixated on economic opportunity at the expense of human decency. But here's the cold, hard truth: the future is inevitable, and we either adapt to it or be left behind by our own fear of progress. If I could upload my mind, I wouldn't hesitate for a second. This isn't about losing oneself, it's about gaining immortality. Imagine having all your memories, knowledge, and experiences preserved for eternity. That's not something to fear, it's a gift. The rest of you are clinging to the past like it's some sort of comfort. But the world is changing, and those who refuse to change with it will be left behind in the dust. The concept of money disappearing might sound far-fetched, but consider this: what happens when AI becomes so advanced that it can create value without traditional monetary systems? Will you still cling to your outdated notions then? The future isn't something we control, it's something we embrace or reject. And if you're too scared to take that leap into the unknown, then you'll be left behind while others seize the opportunities right in front of them. It's time for humanity to evolve, and technology is the catalyst for this transformation. We can either be pioneers, charting new territories in human consciousness, or we can be relics, standing still as the world marches on without us. This isn't about being human or some sentimental notion of our existence, it's about survival. Embracing these changes is not just a choice, it's a necessity for our species to continue thriving into the future. And anyone who doesn't see that is simply denying reality. Let me make this perfectly clear: those who adapt will prosper, and those who resist will perish. The choice is yours, but don't say I didn't warn you.